Hello and welcome to Immortal Behaviour for season 2022. It's good to be back.
You know you've made it when you've got an opener.
We need to get a sponsor though. That's who we're after.
Steel City.
Well, can they?
They're off me now heavily. We might talk about that later in the show.
The 4X, the manga.
My father is more upset. He's disowned me again.
All right, well, we will be having to discuss that at length. You were obviously caught drinking some 4Xs. Did you want to? Who's more mad?
Steel City, the boys, the
but
big
your
company.
dad.
My dad. My dad was like, "What are you doing, boy? Drinking that Queensland?" Won't say what he said. And he said, "Not only that, it was that mid-strength." I said, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned."
Do you reckon he'll forgive you?
Yeah, well, he has in the past. I'm very good
in terms of misdemeanours, this is quite low.
Preschool stuff.
All right, well, it was great to see some bumper crowds in round one of the footy. It's been so long since crowds were able to be here.
That's a cup of tea I'm working on.
What is it? Irish tea?
Irish coffee.
Irish coffee.
I used to have these things. Okay, I'll tell you the story.
Yeah, go.
Well, I'm retired now, so it doesn't matter. So when we play away, this is when we'd have a good night. You go and celebrate our victories and our losses. So the next day we get to the airport, early, and I'd be hung and just go, I just need a couple of beers to get me through. Yeah. So I always used to go to the cafes and say, could you get me a large coffee and put VB in it, or Tui's, or Steel City? And they'd say, yeah, no problem. So they'd fill it up. I'd be sitting there and then the coach would come over.
Hang on, so there was actually coffee in there as well? Oh, no, they just give you the coffee cup.
And then I'd just give a little tip, and then we'd sit there. And I'd be the Pied Piper. I'd have Ben Kennedy beside me. Sorry, Beds. Bedsy I used to drag him down. But no harm done.
Who was the coach at the time?
Mick Hay, well, all of them.
Yeah.
Go through them all.
Did anyone ever clue into it?
No.
So you just sit there just having a coffee cup full
just
of...
go, look, here's 50. Just keep filling them up.
And what were the staff? Were they...
Yeah, none the wiser. None the wiser. Bit of chewing gum. Get on the plane. Crash out. Land in Newcastle.
Well, there you go. That's the secret.
When
That's
men
the
were
secret
men.
to travelling hungover.
We used to call them a caramel macchiato. So I don't know what a caramel, but that was our code for come with a captain. What a great captain. Have a couple of beers at the airport. So people, if you're travelling with your wife or partner or husband.
or children.
Children. And you want to have a little...
Get a Joey caramel.
Got to go up, wink, left eye, caramel macchiato. And I go, the eighth. Fast forward the next year, we play the Roosters in our first semi. So I'm like, righto, I'm going to get rid of that moment. We end up having a massive win. But anyway, I go to the toss. Freddie's not there, it's Rico. Oh, where's Frederico? No. So anyway, we run out on the field. Freddie got stitched the week before on his lip and he got an infection. His lip was like those birds on Melbourne Housewives. It was like that. So I'm at the kick-off and I'm looking and I called Ben Kennedy over. I went, Freddie was just... His lips was like, he's like one of those Catwoman. Yeah. Sonny looked incredible last night.
I love you, Gal, but I think Sonny Bill.
He's such, you see him, he's so healthy.
Yeah.
He's like, when God made him, he was
on that day.
Yeah, he was on. Considering little fingers, short, stumpy legs. Yeah, we'll put a torso 6'2" and put Danny DeVito's legs.
What were the week leading up to those big games where there's so much rivalry and so much heat? What was the week leading up to it like?
Just the build-up.
Just constant chatter and
constant from Chief. Remember our
What
coach,
would he say?
I can't repeat what he used to say. Remember before the grand final? Like I can never ever remember pre-game talks and that, but I can remember Big Chiefo before the '97 grand final. His last words were, no one gets sent off in a grand final. I'm going out to break some heads. Get on the back of me. It just gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And we were just like, yeah. And then Chief went out and went berserk.
Yeah.
So good. He was such a good leader.
Was there anyone in your career that you remember coming back?
I remember Mark Hughes.
Yeah.
Mark Hughes Foundation.
How much did he?
He came back, well, he had a knee reconstruction maybe, or maybe his neck. We did our neck at the same time. and he had a big off-season of enjoying himself, but his mum and dad used to bring down curry bread from curry, and he'd have his freezer full, and it was as white bread as you could get. So Mark hammered the white bread, and he came back to training, and first thing, he couldn't train, so he was boxing, and he had his shirt off, and we were calling him skinny fat. He was skinny, but he had this
a little
roll of curry bread and Devon around his waist. It took him a while, but he got it off.
Devon, honestly, the thought of Devon now, I used to have it as a kid on white bread.
I go to mum and dad's, and
it's tomato sauce on white.
And there's a knob of Devon in the fridge. And just white bread, heap of butter, Devon, tomato sauce.
Yeah, that
pepper.
was, yeah.
Oh, yes, the taste of my youth.
What even is, I don't even think I want to know, what is Devon?
It's like pig's toenails or something. Or the other end of a pig.
Oh, yuck, the thought of that.
Cessnock ham. Clint Newton obviously won a premiership at Melbourne, went and played with the Knights. Told a really funny story of just how his dad could mix between the common man at the pub on Sunday, and then he'd meet with the Prime Ministers the next day. So back in the 80s when Bob Hawke first got into office, he had this gala night where he invited sports stars, all sorts of celebrities and everything. And Princess Di and Charles was out, and he sat Jack next to Princess Di. So he sits down straight next to Princess Di, and everyone's sort of on eggshells around her. So which Duke's Jack's missing? He's right one. So he's missing the right one. He says to her, "Hey Di, geez, you look good. You're lucky I'm not on the other side and this hand's free." He said she pissed herself laughing, and then for the rest of the night she was just chatting to Jack all night. And that was Jack. He was just a giant of a man, mate. One of the best fellas you'd ever meet. Real man's man. He just loved a beer and a chat. Born in Cessnock. He was born and bred in Cessnock. Obviously moved to Sydney when he was younger, but always saw himself as from Cessnock, but loved Newcastle.
Yeah.
Was the proudest Novocastrian you'd ever meet. And Knights #1 ticket holder, and everyone loved him. Everyone, was always good after a game. He was honest. You go back for a beer with him after a game, he'd tell you if he thought you played shit. Yeah.
Did he ever have some truth
Well,
bombs
he used to advise me on goal kicking when I first started. So in those days, you used sand, and he'd talk about when they used to hit off, they'd sit the ball a little bit higher the first time they hit off the nerves. Or anyway, so he spoke to me about that, and he spoke to me about routine and rhythm, and similar things with punting and goal kicking. And then one night he grabbed me at the pub after. He goes, "Mate, I want to talk to you about your tackling." And I'm like, "What?" "Yeah, I'm just reckon your tackling's not that good." I'm like, "Mate, I'll take tips on my goal kicking because you play goal. I don't know how many things you tackle." And then I went, "Well, Jack, you tackled an aeroplane propeller and you came out, so I'll take some advice on you kicking."
What did he say?
He pissed himself. He had this pirate laugh. And I used to tell that story to Clint all the time, and he used to love it. But great man, great friend, a great Novocastrian, loved the Knights, and really sad to see him go.
All right, and we do have a little photo to finish of back in the day with the great Peter Sterling. Do you remember this?
I can remember it.
What was going on?
That was in Parramatta. Played a trial up in Cessnock. I used to play trials up there. I think that was the night Mick Cronin hurt his eye. He had a really bad injury that night, and myself and Matthew, 2-for-1 bowl haircuts, and Sterling.
So you were in the sheds?
Yeah, we're in the sheds.
How'd you get in?
Well, my dad was coaching Cessnock at the time. We're in there watching things.
What were you watching?
Roosters. What's a rooster called?
I know what a rooster's called. Even at that age, were you that intrigued with them then?
I got a funny story about Blocker, me and Blocker and Matthew. But anyway.
Go on, tell us.
So this can be edited out.
It can be.
So back in the day, there was a guy from Cessnock, played for Balmain, a guy called Mick Schofield. So we used to go down with his father, Don Schofield, that actually played for Australian Rugby League, myself and Matthew occasionally. We went to Leichhardt, And then we used to leave, as everyone leaves 10 minutes early. Got to get back to Cessnock. Anyway, in those days it was like a 3-hour drive. Anyway, this one time he said, come on, we'll go down the sheds before we left. So we got our autograph books. Anyway, so after the game we go and get our autographs. Gary Jack, Benny Elias, Paul Sirenan, Wayne Pearce, like all the superstars.
Yeah.
And Blocker was my favourite. So I'm about 6 at the time. So I'm like, where's Blocker? I want Blocker's signature. Where's Blocker? So then you hear this, what's that, mate? Yeah. And Blocker comes out of the shower. So he's walking over, nude as a bear in the forest. So I'm 5, 6. So he comes over and I hand him the autograph book. He's like, hello, young fella, how you going? You play footy? Yep, play for Cessnock Goannas. What position? Halfback. Oh, yeah. So as he's signing it, I go from there to looking straight ahead. And as he's signing it, he starts shaking. So I stop. I'm like this. And Matty's hit me going, Joe, look up, Joe. And I'm just going like that. And then Blocker's, here you go, young fella, here. So anyway, fast forward 20 odd years. So we get Blocker into Origin to present the jersey. So I'm captain. So I'd welcome Blocker into camp and go through his what he did for New South Wales and what sort of player he was. So I'm going to tell you some funny story, boys. So I told this story and Blocker's like, stop. So you and your brother are little cock watchers from Cessnock. And I went, yep. And he goes, no way. So we used to have bets which one would end up in jail first.
That is so funny.
So they hope you back me. Yeah.
So that's when it all started.
So that would have been in the early 80s. 81, 82 maybe.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
then going into the NRL sheds, like the Sterlo and Blocker and Gary Jack and Wayne Pearce, Ciro Benny, they were like superheroes. They were like Hulk and King Kong and Batman. I don't know which one's Robin. But to meet those, I can still remember the buzz of just meeting Sterlo, getting a photo, meeting those guys, watching Blocker up close.
So Blocker was the one who originated that whole...
Blocker was the one, the baby elephant.
Hello and welcome to Immortal Behaviour for this week, and a very special episode today because it is the 8th birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
48 today.
48. Now we do have a special gift for you. Some of the bosses at Channel 9 have given me this to give to you. So it's in a wine bag, but I'm not sure what's in there.
Oh.
It's a signed Queen with your favourite beer on the back.
Oh. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Oh, dirty.
Maybe it might be returning this one.
Oh. God.
What was the best one? What was the one that you'd have to actually sit back and go, all right, that was actually pretty good.
Well, it's a family-friendly show. Because I played when it was pretty ruthless.
I think from what the story that we got out last week, I don't think it's family friendly.
I think it's it was pretty close to the bone.
Come on. These fans watching, they've gone through 15 minutes. They want to hear it.
Oh, a funny one one night. It was when the Knights were going to Basel, were getting rid of Matthew.
Yeah.
In 2000, we're playing Ricky Stewart at the time. And the whole game, Ricky's going, you're kidding yourself to me. You're kidding yourself. You're taking your brother's money. Why don't you take a pay cut and keep your brother at the Knights? Ricky was relentless. So I ended up getting the ball, scored a pretty good try. It was against the Bulldogs. I think it was the one where I smoked a cigar. And beat about 3 or 4 and scored under the post. And as I was walking back, I looked at Ricky and I was walking next to Matthew. Ricky goes, you better go to England, Matthew. See you later. Gus tells a funny one that he was playing with Darryl Broman.
Yeah.
Darryl Broman was he's bludging on the blind side, and someone in the crowd was just screaming at Broman, you want another pie? Once you get in, stop bludgeoning on the blind. Gus went over to the short side and put his arm around him. He said, take your fat redheaded mate with you. Something like that. I can remember Matt Sears at one stage when he was playing, hello Searsy, thanks for the birthday message too, Searsy. He was having a bit of trouble under the high ball. So we'd get to play 4, and me and Matty would be looking at him, be like, Searsy, here comes a torpedo, here comes another one. And after a game, he's you blokes just were inside my head. Searsy, It's coming. But sometimes there's some real fun ones out there.
Oh, I loved.
We played England one night, England or the UK or whatever. We played a test match. They had a guy over there, Barry McDermott. Now, Barry McDermott would scare the boogeyman. He's that frightening. So we're going to a scrum, and poor old Bedsy starts picking on Bedsy. What you said to me, that's it. In this scrum, it's on. I'm going to knock you out. And poor Bedsy was looking at me. So I went up. We had two front rowers at the time, two of the nicest front rowers, Robbie Kearns and Jason Stevens. And I said, boys, you know your job here. And they went like that. They packed into a scrum. And Bedsy said he was like an usher at the movies. He just got the curtain and just went, got the front rowers and backed out. But to Barry, you get a photo of Barry McDermott at his best. Barry, to his credit, after the game, came up to Bedsy and said, mate, I apologise for that. We had to do something to try to get you off your game. Bedsy went, oh, thank you. You just took 10 years off my life.
For Channel 9, the great Rabs, he's standing down from live commentary. He'll still be here at 9. He'll still be doing some other things, but no more commentary from the great Ray
sad,
Warren.
isn't it? It's really sad. I can remember the first time I played first grade and hearing Rabs call my name. It was such a kick. A legend, absolute legend, and the best guy ever. Biggest hypochondriac I've ever met, and terrible flyer. The story about Snoop Dogg is one of my favourites.
I love it. You tell our viewers who don't know.
So Rabs is a nervous flyer. So he gets on and they know they have to bring him a Shardy. And obviously sits right up the front. Anyway, he's not in 1A, he was in 2A. So he gets his Shardy. Next thing, the person in front, before they even take off, puts his seat back and the Shardy spills all over Rabs. Rabs is like, well, actually hearing Rabs swear was one of the highlights of my life. So Rabs starts swearing a little bit. Next thing, from everywhere comes these security guys. And he goes, hey man, don't talk to Snoop like that. And Rabs is like, Snoop? Who the effing hell is Snoop? Next thing, Snoop Dogg comes up. He's going, Snoop? I don't know no Snoop. So Rabs knew how to fight with Snoop Dogg.
All right, now for some of the non-serious ones.
Ooh.
Joshua Sleeman, 14, asks, what is the weirdest encounter you've ever had with a celebrity? And we know you know some celebrities too, so...
Kylie Minogue was a funny one. She was just going, who is this loser?
What would happen?
Not telling.
Okay, where was it?
It was on a Bucks party. I was on a Bucks party.
In Sydney?
Sydney.
Yep.
And it was about 12 hours in.
And were you at a house?
It was upstairs from the establishment. What's that? Where's the establishment?
Yeah, the establishment in
private area
the Ivy.
upstairs,
The Ivy's down the road a little bit.
know.
Yeah, so above the establishment.
But that's one of the only times I've been there. I went upstairs. The bouncer took me up.
Oh, I know this one.
Yeah.
Because
That's it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We'll save that
when
one for
you're
another.
talking to someone and you can see them just starting going and sort of grinning.
All right, can I ask, how did it come about?
No, I'm just downstairs with all the boys. There's like 20 of us. And then the bouncer comes up and grabs me. He goes, come here. I'm like, oh no. What have I done? And then he goes, it didn't tell me. And we go upstairs to the room and I'm walking this big room. And as I'm walking over, I'm going, no. And he comes and goes, Kylie, here's the guy I was talking about. The rugby league players. Australian captain, actually. Future Immortal. No, I did say
Yes, I
Australian
think you
captain.
did, yeah.
Say, yeah. Anyway. Hey, Kylie.
Yeah, I'm sure she's tuning in.
Oh, she loves this show.
Yeah. What was she wearing? Was she wearing...
She was hot. She was seriously hot. Seriously smoking.
Oh, that is so
Anyway.
good. Any other good celebrity
One
encounters?
that got away. Dodged a bullet. Dodged a cannon.
Well, I would usually say hello and welcome to Immortal Behaviour, but Joe, it looks like you've got your wish. The current affair. What would be your opening story?
Someone cheating at bingo. How would that be?
Neighbours at war?
Yeah. Neighbours playing gin rummy, one cheating.
That's usually the stories, aren't they?
Fences.
Rugby league players on Mad Monday. There
Yeah,
you are. We've
there
had
you
Mad
go, there
Monday.
you
Yeah,
go.
involving a dolphin. It's all sorts.
What would the story be on you now?
I don't know. Maybe they're Mr. Boring.
Yes, yeah, we believe that. Are there any other players in the game that you can see having the pressure, the discussion point all week being about them? And
Munster,
yeah,
obviously.
Munster, yeah.
The king, going back. Wally Lewis was the king of it. Willie Mason used to be good.
He's got a very carefree.
Well, he would bring it on himself.
Yeah. I
Saying,
think he
mate, talk
thrives.
about no filter. That's Willie. Honest Willie.
I saw Willie at the game.
Yeah.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, we saw him
We
outside.
saw him out the
How
front.
big is he?
He's a giant.
Forget how big he is.
He's a giant. You can see him just coming down the street a mile away.
I dropped him home from Origin this year. What Origin? First Origin.
Oh, was that at a core stadium?
Yep. And he was topped. So then on the way home, he's ordering Uber Eats. So when I dropped him, I said, what did you order, Mace? He goes, 3 Big Macs, a large milkshake, 2 large fries, 6 nuggets. Oh, you going to eat that now? Yeah.
So
that's probably like an entree for
So
him.
if he has to eat that, I wonder how many standard drinks he'd have to have for it to actually
no,
impact him.
He can consume lots and quickly. Don't get in a shower. Hashtag, don't get in a shower, Willie. The NFL experiment, I don't know why players go over there. Unless you're a kicker, what is
Yeah.
a punter or the goal kicker?
I think it's like
Honestly,
if
where are
they're
the best athletes in the world? The States.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're pushing it uphill.
I feel like though for them it's something that they're fans of. They're fans of the NFL, and they think, well, why not test myself, see if I can do it?
yeah.
And
I'm a fan of surfing. I'm not going to go surf 20-foot pipeline against those.
you and Kelly.
Yeah, no, I don't think that'll happen. Yeah. Stick to rugby league. None of yous as running backs or not quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks, yeah.
No, wide runners or something.
Wide
I don't watch
receiver,
them.
wide receiver.
You're not going to make it. Yeah, you're not going to make it.
It's
Stay in rugby league.
It's a lot of studying. It's a lot of plays. It's
I watched it. I went and
Super Bowl.
watched
You
Jared
watched it?
Hayne play.
Didn't you get spotted in the crowd?
Yeah, it was the longest. I thought it was like 40 minutes each way. It goes for like 3 hours. And those tailgate parties before I got in there, I was well hydrated. Just watching, just going. They'd do a play, they'd stop. Someone would run on, someone would run off. Just like, what's happening?
Who was it? An Australian fan who spotted you?
Yeah, a few.
What were they yelling out?
My name. I thought I was dreaming it.
Speaking of the Dalians, do you
Yeah.
have any good stories from your
Plenty.
time? Can you share any?
Yep. I'll leave the ones involving me out. But what year was it? I missed when I did my knee. 2004. So without someone scoffing all the points, Bedsy actually polled really well. So I actually found out during the day, so this is Wednesday morning, that he'd won it. Someone said, you got to bring him down, because we weren't going to go, because we got beaten Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, do the math, Wednesday, horrors. So anyway, we end up coming down, and obviously didn't drive, someone drove us. But all the way down, Danny Vaderis is a clean freak, like an absolute OCD clean freak. So all the way down, I started on it. He's going, mate, you stink of piss. How much? Did you shower? What? What are you talking about? So come here, yeah. Oh, your hands smell of bourbon. Yuck. What do you? It's coming out of your pores. And mate, I can smell it in your breath. He's freaking out. So it was just all day I'm just working on it. So then we get to the award night, and he thinks he's no chance. Anyway, we get to about 5 weeks out. He starts to pole. He starts to climb up. And our Jennifer Hawkins.
Oh, Jen Hawkins.
Our Jen Hawkins was presenting it. So I'm going, mate, imagine if Jen puts the medal over your head and she can just smell the liquor on you. And he's going, what? What are you talking about? I said, mate, can I give you a tip? Go to the bathroom, get some soap and just wash your hands and everything. So he's freaking out. So with 2 rounds to go, he hits the lead. And he's looking at me, he's going, mate, I can't get up there. I'm going, mate, you've got to go and wash your mouth out. So then he ends up winning it. And he looks at me, and I said, I'm only joking, mate. He goes, oh. Then goes up on stage. And I remember looking at him, I don't know if I was up on stage with him or something, but Jen gave you the medal, and yeah, I sabotaged him every day.
Aw,
Poor Bedsy.
poor Bedsy.
Poor Bedsy.
I feel like Bedsy's
Mr. Clean Freak.
Bedsy's got himself into a lot of situations because of you. You're like the devil on his shoulder.
That is right. I'm trying to think of other. So Bedsy, when we used to room together the whole time. So when he'd go to the toilet, even number ones, he'd take all his clothes off.
What?
Takes all his clothes
Even
off.
his shirt off.
Everything. He'd say, oh, mate, you know, the splashes and, you know. I'm like, mate, you're going to go get some help over this. I can send you in the right direction.
Socks and everything? Everything.
They're completely nude.
Only in like in public toilets?
Yeah, no, not in public.
Okay.
Well, I hope so. Yeah. Mr. Clean.
Oh, that's so good. All right. Any other Delium stories?
Well, actually, Bedsy used to carry hand sanitizer before COVID.
Oh,
Used to
before
carry
it
it
was
around. Used to wash his
became the
hands all
norm.
time. No, mate, what are you doing? You smell of bourbon, Beds. Jeez, go and wash your hands. What are you talking about? Oh, Jen's up there.
I feel like Jen alone would have made anyone nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Without you adding to
Our
it.
Jen.
Your Jen. Newcastle's Jen.
Newcastle's own Jen.
Yeah.